going to segue into the pros now. It is a hell of a lot easier logistically to plan your hike when all the businesses are open, all the roads are open, so the trailheads are open, and there's less snow. So hence Ray Day in what Jardine was thinking is great, but the problem is you started later to pull this off. So therefore you've got to go a little faster. I'm not going to go through a lot of my highlights, and I'm going to go right into this. So environmentally, Southern California is going to be a lot hotter. It's not hot yet, but it's warmer. Like I said before, you can get everything from rain and snow to pretty hot conditions with April starts, even April 1st starts. Like we said before, the only advantage with the Sierra is it's not as freezing as it was maybe 2 weeks earlier, but it's starting to thaw out. So that's a con, and we're not going to go into that. So the pro, going through the Sierra, you're going to have a little bit of the advantage of the secret season if you're there mid-May to the beginning of the thaw after a normal winter again. So pay attention to whether the Sierra is getting a drought, normal, or heavy winter before you actually arrive at Kennedy Meadows South. In Northern California, environmentally, it's really great because you're not going to get the heat that's prevalent in Northern California even 2 weeks later. And you're going to have a little less snow, but don't be deceived, because if you flip the Sierra and you go up to Donner and you're up there June 1st, after a normal or heavy winter, there's going to be 4 or 5 feet, maybe 4 feet of snow in the trees on the steep slopes just north of Donner Summit until you get down to Sierra City a couple of days later, and then you're a much lower elevation. But you will still have snow on the ridges and on the northern aspects of those ridges across Northern California if you're going through early, but it's a hell of a lot better than going through Northern California 2 weeks later when Hat Creek Rim and all of those places start heating up. But that's once again, kind of encouraging you to maybe leave early April so that you get into the Sierra mid-May. It's that 6-week time frame in Southern California. That puts you into Oregon at a good time because, you know, all resorts are open. There's not as much snow, yet you'll still be on snow until you're down lower in elevation. Where that snow line is, who knows, because that's based on how heavy or light the winter was. Washington, you probably still have some snow and some nasty creek crossings, although the advantages with the North Cascades are there are a lot of wooden bridges there, whereas in the Sierra there are not. The other area that I'm going to hit, and I'm almost there, Carol, the other area I'm going to hit besides environmentally as a pro is the strategy, how starting at this time affects your strategy for the whole hike. Your pace is still going to be kind of moderate, so that's good. You don't have to hustle too bad, but you're starting a month later from those who started the 1st of March. Most people will start about mid-March, but as I've seen online, people are getting permits as early as March 1st. So you're losing 4 weeks of time so that you could go a little slower. But this is just going to result in maybe you can have fewer zeros, fewer time to play, fewer times to go swimming and fishing and, you know, exploring. But the big premise is, can you still make it to Canada by the bookend time, mid-September? All right, last page. Northern California and Southern California, you're going to rely upon some Trail Angel augmented water supplies. So not as good as starting earlier, but not bad. You still got water. One of the advantages of starting in April is a lot of times it works great with people's families and schools and businesses. They have a tendency to let you go and let you do your thing starting maybe in April instead of March. You know, they don't want dad to be gone, you know, for 6 months when he could be gone for 5, say, that kind of thing. In Sierra, entering a little bit later, like I said before, higher snow lines means less snow, also more dry trail. But you're in there during the thaw, so what dry trail you had is now turning into a creek. So not really advantageous too much. Chronic wet feet leads to something called trench foot. And trench foot is not good. It's taking people off the trail. So thinking, oh, what the hell, I'm just going to keep my trail runners on. I'm going to bang through these creeks. I'm just going to keep going. But realize if you're there early enough and you've got snowbanks on either side of the creek, you're going to be on snow on the other side, which is wet, and it's going to not dry. I mean, your shoes are not going to dry. You really need dry trail for wet shoes to dry. So you might want to think about your footwear, and that's something we'll talk about tomorrow. I got lots of stuff to demonstrate. Another advantage to this time is there's more hikers out there. So you're going to have more of a social experience than if you left in March. You're also going to have, as I said before, trailheads that are open. Logistically, it's going to be easier. You can get to places, maybe even by hitchhiking, to get resupplies or to become resupplied. Go to laundromats, get a pizza, beer, whatever. It's going to be a lot easier during this time frame than it was for people starting in March. You'll also perhaps have a boot track. You'll have had already a lot of people precede you into the Sierra, so it's pretty advantageous to enter the Sierra after them. Keep in mind, if a snowstorm happens and it buries that snow track or the boot track, then you've lost your advantage of being able to walk on a flat trail, because new snowfall will assume the slope, the angle of that slope. And it means you're now going to have to be edging in with the sides of your trail runners, and trail runners don't hold on to anything. You know, they turn into skis any opportunity they get. So let's see, we talked about that. Entering during your time, there's going to be a little less gear requirement. In other words, the difference between, and it isn't much, but I'm just going to point it out because I have it here. The difference between hiking crampons and micro spikes is ounces. This is going to stay on your foot. This is going to fall off your foot. Do you want to have that sense of insecurity? I don't. But anyway, you have less poundage on your back. If that's such a big thing, then you're in a good place to be going through this year at this time of year. You also don't have to carry as much food because you can go out more frequently if that's your thing. Then you have a lighter pack, so you have less food weight.